Hey everyone, Kyle here from Poseidon's Pets. So if you watched my Aquashella video, you know that I got some shrimp from Aquashella and had to get them from Texas to here back in my shrimp room. So I had to fly with shrimp, and what I wanted to do was just show you guys that experience. I was able to document the whole thing and how everything went. So was I able to fly with shrimp? Stay tuned, find out. All right, so we're about to check out of the hotel. Gonna take the shrimp through TSA. I'll let you guys know how it goes and we'll get those back into the tank. But did you have fun at Aquashella?
Dude, it was a blast. Anyone who wants to go, I highly recommend it at least once in your life. It's a experience of a lifetime for fish nerds.
Definitely.
And shrimp nerds. So
it was so much fun. If you get a chance, go. Like, it's so much fun. But
it was worth it.
Yeah. But we'll let you know how TSA goes, and hopefully
Wish us luck.
No problems. Got some shrimp, snails, and plants, and don't know. Never flew with anything like this before, but everybody says it's not an issue, so we'll see how it goes.
Hope they're right.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
See you back in Arizona.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so just got through TSA and no shrimp. So they wouldn't let me take them with them, but I was able to talk to the airline and they said it was okay if I put it in my bag and then checked my bag. So I threw them in my suitcase, you know, packed my shirts, boxers and stuff around it and checked my bag, and hopefully they're okay when we get there. So I'll keep you guys updated and let you know what happens. But I'm gonna go get on a plane. Bye. All right, so I was able to get my bag out of baggage claim and I got the shrimp. And so far so good. Everything looks okay, looks alive. Got a couple floaters, but I believe it's still the ones that were struggling to begin with. So once I get home, I'll unpackage them and see how everything's going. But we made it back to Arizona with the shrimp, so that's a plus. Next time I definitely need to push back a little bit because their policies say that you can take fish in water on the plane. So I think they just wanted to give me a hard time, so I should have gave them a hard time back. But don't let this discourage you from flying with stuff. I did it, just had to check them in my bag. But let's get these guys home and into their tank. Hey everyone, so we're back home, back in the shrimp room, and we're gonna go ahead and get these guys into their new tanks. I ended up giving Ryan a few of them, so I gave him my blue bolts that came from the contest, so that way he can add them to his tank and do what he wants with them. But I've got a few tanks that have been cycling. They've had a few shrimp in them already, so I'm gonna go ahead and take those guys out, add them to different tanks, and then add the new shrimp and just show you guys what I got. So let's get to it. So in this tank, it's been running for a while now, and I had a couple crystals as well as a tangerine tiger in there, just kind of as a tester to make sure that these tanks were good to go. I don't like to introduce large colonies into a new tank to start. I'll add a couple hardy shrimp in there to see how they do, and if they do well, then I know things are good to go. If they don't do well, then it needs a little bit more time. And for the most part, these guys have been running for over a month now, if not longer, and those shrimp have been in there for over a week. So I know it's been running for quite some time. I had one death in here, which I added 3 shrimp to each one of these tanks, and I believe there's either 1 or 2 left in here. So this is the only tank I'm not sure about, but the other ones are doing great. So I'm going to top these guys off. I already topped this one off with some just straight RO water. So I'm gonna top these 2 tanks off, and then I'm gonna do 20 to 30% water change once I get the shrimp out of there. So that way I can do it quick. I'm not gonna have to drip the water back in there because there's no shrimp in there. So I'm just gonna do a quick water change on these 3 tanks just to make sure that the water that's in there is super clean, ready to go for them. Because I know they've been stressed out in travel, and I want to give them the best shot that they can. So go ahead and get that started, get that going. All right, so the tanks have been topped off, as well as I did a 2-gallon water change, so about 20%. And you'll notice that these 2 tanks have 2 flats of moss in them, I've got a subwasser tang as well as a spiky moss. So what I had in this guy was I had just a grab bag bunch of moss, and I really don't like to have tanks full of that. So like in here, this is all one type of moss, all one type of moss, one type of moss. So I would much rather have each tank have its own type of moss instead of having a grab bag bunch of moss. How many times can I say moss in one sentence? If you look at my crystal tank, this tank has been my like go-to, hey, this moss is kind of conjoined together. And I'm not gonna sit there and pick out each piece, especially when the pieces are tiny. I'm not gonna take the time to do that. So I went ahead and dumped that ball of moss from that tank, and I'm gonna add some of this Taxiphyllum SP, which is the spiky moss. Sorry, the other one was the pointed spear. So actually, you know, they look very similar. Until they grow out and get bushy, it's hard to tell. The leaf sets look very similar. So this is the Taxiphyllum SP, which is that spiky moss, and then this is the pointed spear. And you can see the difference in them. I also have some Hookerichia or hooker moss on there. And then of course my subwasser tang, which the subwasser tank has seen better days. I did some peroxide treatment in this tank, and it's hurting a little bit. You can see there where the peroxide kind of did some damage. Hi, Sere. So that graying or dying off is just peroxide damage. So too much peroxide can affect plants. It's a good algae killer. You can see that it's starting to take out some of this algae there. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and grab some clippings from this and add it to the tank. Or I might just put that whole flat in there. I really like how that looks, and I'd like to showcase that in its own tank. So I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna throw that flat in there. But I'm gonna get that guy in there, and then I'm gonna get the new shrimp dripping, so that way you guys can see what I got. All right, so the moment you guys have all been waiting for, the reveal of what shrimp I got. So I got some more Calcios, and as you see, they decided to let go babies all in the bag, as well as my third place winners, the Orange Eye Blue Tigers, which unfortunately I only have 2 left. And then I got some Golden Bees, which these guys look absolutely amazing. And then some Crystal Reds, which they're a little washed out at the moment, but that's gonna happen during shipping as well as stress, and these guys have definitely been through a lot. So at Aquashella, I went by the Seachem booth, and for just sharing a picture of their booth on social media, they were handing out these limited edition bottles of Prime, which I thought they were absolutely adorable. So I can't do anything half strength or without going all out, so I went ahead and just did a short video for them. But I thought these little bottles were really cool. What I like about it is I'm probably going to keep refilling this, because with shrimp tanks, whenever I get new shrimp in, I don't like to add a lot of Prime. I like to add just a couple drops to their containers. What this does is this eliminates any ammonia that has built up during shipping. Helps with that stress. So I'm going to add a couple drops to each one of these containers. And then if you've been following this far, you can see my dilemma. I have 3 tanks, 4 containers of shrimp. So my lovely assistant off camera is doing a quick ammonia test on these 3 tanks that haven't been tested yet. So like I said, I don't like to add shrimp to a tank right away after it's cycled. I like to add some more hardy shrimp to the tank as a test. We will call these our pioneer shrimp, or astronaut shrimp, or less endearing term as sacrificial shrimp. Now, 9 out of 10 times the shrimp will be fine, because I do go through the cycle process. I add cycled media as well as I add beneficial bacteria, and I wait it out. Now, with all that being said, I'm not going to throw a whole colony of shrimp into a brand new tank. I'm gonna take the time and make sure that that tank is good. So what I like to do is add these sacrificial shrimp, astronaut shrimp, pioneer shrimp, to the tank to just make sure that everything is good. If those shrimp last and do well, then they'll be okay. Now, with these shrimp all coming from the contest tanks, while we were doing the contest, you know, there was a lot of cross-contamination. Shrimp were caught with the same net, and stuff goes from one tank to the other. These tanks have been used before, so it's not something that I want to add to an existing colony. So even though I have Calcios, even though I have crystal reds, even though these my own orange-eyed blue tigers came from my own tank, it's not something that I want to add to my existing tanks. I just so happen to have 6 tanks that need shrimp, 3 of which I know are good, ready to go. The other 3, they're probably good. They're probably good to go, but I want to make sure that everything is good before I put them in. In this situation, I'm going to put them in that tank and hope for the best. I'm going to go ahead and use my award-winning orange-eyed blue tigers as the astronaut or pioneer shrimp, just for the simple fact there's 2 left. So because there's only 2 left, it's less of a risk. I'm not going to risk a larger size colony in a tank that I'm not sure of.
Sorry, that's good.
So like I said, Amber is testing the water real quick for ammonia, which I haven't done a water change on those tanks. I'll go ahead and top them off and then do a quick water change on it before I add them to the tank. But I'm pretty confident that it's fine. So we'll go ahead and see how that goes. But I'm gonna get these guys dripping. I'm gonna do those water changes, and then we'll get them in the tanks and show you guys how they're liking their new home. It'll probably be a couple days. I'll let them settle in and do a feeding video so that way you guys can see. So I'll do that feeding video so you guys can see how they're doing, as well as I'll give you a quick update on whether or not they survived the process, because it has been a stressful experience for these shrimp. But like I said, I absolutely loved the contest. So much fun. And if you haven't been a part of it, definitely enter. It's not hard. If you need help shipping shrimp, let me know. I can give you some tips on how to get them there safely. It's a cool experience. If you can go and be a part of it, then go and be a part of it. Aquashella is a great place full of, you know, loving, caring people who just enjoy the hobby as much as we do. But let's get these guys in their tank. So I thought one of these guys was a tangerine tiger, but if you look, it looks more like a Thai bee. So it came out of the coal tank. It's probably a cross between a crystal black and a tangerine tiger, or those blue bolts and tangerine tigers. You can see he's got some white on him. Oh, scaring him. So it's pretty cool. I've seen a couple of those in that tank. I'm gonna go ahead and put these guys back in the coal tank though. So I got 7 crystal reds, and they look nice. These guys look really good. If you look on the left there, you can actually see a buried female that survived the stress of travel and made it into the tank just fine. Didn't end up releasing any of her babies, which was good, because all of those Calcio babies, they just didn't make it, and it was to be expected. That was a tough travel for them. And then for our golden bees, I have 5 of those, which I have another golden bee in the coal tank. I'm gonna go ahead and add that one to this tank as well. That way they can all be together. But these have always been one of my favorite shrimp. I know they're super basic and not the coolest looking, but I definitely love how they have that white pattern. And then Calcios, I believe I got 6 of those, as well as all of the babies. And like I said, the babies just didn't make it, and that's understandable with travel and transit. It's tough on them, especially if there's any ammonia buildup in the bag. And then our pioneer or astronaut shrimp, the orange-eyed blue tigers, 2 of those guys, one of them didn't even want to get off the moss. It just stayed right on there. So instead of trying to take it out of the cup, I kind of just pulled the moss out of the cup and dipped it into the tank. So if that's how he wanted to enter the tank, I figured go for it. So Calcios are doing good. I did lose all the babies as well as 2 shrimp, so they are going strong at 4 shrimp currently. And it's been a few days since the last death, so I think I'm gonna jinx myself, but I think it's safe to say that they are in the clear and doing good. It's probably been closer to a week, but it's been a while since the last one, and they all look healthy. They all had some good molts, as well as one of them's buried up, so doing good. I did end up grabbing that single golden bee out of my coal tank and adding it to this tank, so that gave me a total of 6 golden bees to start with, and after the couple weeks I have 5 left, so I only lost 1 in this tank, which that's good. You know, they transitioned well, and to only lose 1, that's definitely a fantastic thing. The crystal reds, I had, like I said, that one that was buried in the tank. Didn't even notice until I was editing this video. I found babies in that tank today. So a couple weeks have gone by, she released her babies, and as you can see, there's already a couple females buried up, ready to go. So these guys are loving life, enjoying their new home, and just doing fantastic. I would say this tank is the one that is taking off the most out of the shrimp that I got from the contest, which for crystals, that's what's to be expected. They're pretty hardy shrimp. So I felt bad for those 2 orange-eyed blue tigers that were in there by themselves. I grabbed a couple of the coals as well as just some of the lighter colored ones and put them in the tank. And this tank was showing some ammonia, so it did have a little bit of ammonia in there. Not a lot. It was close to like 1 to 2 parts per million, which you may say, hey, that's a lot of ammonia, but they are doing great. And with a low pH tank, you're gonna have that ammonia locked as ammonium. So all I did to get this tank ready was I just did a 20% water change on it. I added some prime. So what that's gonna do is just neutralize some of that ammonia, some of that ammonium, so that way these guys can live their best life. But I wanted to give you guys an update on my Calcio tank. If you watched the live stream with me and Papa Shrimp, then I did mention that that tank had been wiped. So I ended up losing most of my blacks, all of my blues besides 1, and then I had 3 red Calcios left. And I ended up just throwing those guys into the coal tank to just live their lives. So I had that buried red female, as well as 1 dragon blood that was buried, and then about 3 to 4 of the black Calcios. So I just put them in this tank to see how they would do, because the Calcio tank was just, it was a death sentence. They just weren't doing well, and I was losing shrimp left and right. So finally, after everything I tried, I'm like, I just gotta get them out of that tank. And with having less than 10 shrimp left, I figured, you know what? Let's go ahead and slap them into the coal tank, let them live their life and just do their thing. But they're doing fantastic now, and I'm excited to see if we can, you know, reproduce that colony from this coal tank, even though there's going to be other shrimp in there. And then maybe I can start up another Calcio tank. But I definitely appreciate every single one of you for watching my videos, coming in here, talking with me. You guys are amazing, and I love the community that we have. So thank you guys so much for just popping in, saying hi, and leave me a comment down below what you thought about this video. And I'm going to continue to give you guys updates on these tanks, as well as the shrimp rack in general. So if you want to see more and you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You know, hit the bell, that way you're notified of all my future content, and leave me a like on this video, leave me a comment. But thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, 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 bye.